people you love, quiet, turned off the phone, turned off the video game, stop thinking about where you needed to be, stop trying to get something done quick because you have something else to go do, and sat and listened to God. Felt the wind on your face. It's good to be back. Good to see your faces. I hope you had a good week so far. Everybody enjoying themselves? I really don't worry about whether kids are having a good time. My camper's going to attest to that. But, you seem to be. And I like watching people. I like studying people in camp. I like seeing what decisions they make. Interesting. What kind of decisions did you have to make today? To wake up and decide to get out of bed, didn't you? No. What other decisions do you have to make today? What to eat? You want a salad or not? Milk or juice? We make decisions all day long, every day. Some are pretty small, seem to be. Got to decide to get out of bed. Got to decide to make your bed or not. Where you at? Those don't seem like very big decisions. Others have to make bigger decisions, like, am I going to go to college? If I do, where? Can I afford it? We make decisions all day long. Our life is a series of making decisions. So I like to study people. I like to see what decisions they choose while they're at camp. Sometimes the decisions that we make put us in a group of people. Sometimes our decisions allow people to make a judgment on it just by what we decide. If you decide that you're going to be a sports person, you may end up classified with a group of jocks, the popular kids that are mean to other kids, or that only let certain types of people in their group. Maybe you decide you want to play an instrument, maybe you're into music, and you're the band geek. You're lumped into the group that way. Life is made up of all different kinds of groups, all different kinds of cliques. Athletes, band geeks, straight A students, Democrats, Republicans, Christians, atheists, Methodists, Baptists, Catholics. Our decisions take us a lot of different places. So I want to talk about two different guys. We've been talking in Footsteps about the Apostle Paul and his story. But I want to talk about a guy first that was kind of a nobody. He was kind of one of the goody-goody guys that didn't really get much of a story. His name was Stephen. And if we go to Acts chapter 6, it tells the story about the disciples. You know those guys? They were trying to spread in Acts church. They were going around preaching, telling the story of the gospel. And somebody came to him And they had these Jews. They had some that spoke, they were Greek-speaking Jews. Others were Hebrews. And they were going around and they had widows. And they were feeding people. They were taking out food to them. And the Greek widows were getting overlooked. They weren't getting their food. And people were coming and complaining. And they said, the Greek widows aren't getting their food. And you know what the disciples said? They said, we shouldn't have to waste our time waiting on tables. We're preaching. We're spreading the gospel. So what we're going to do is we're going to go find 7 Greek people that are filled with the Spirit, and they can go serve. They can go wait on tables. It doesn't sound really important. But we're doing the important stuff. We're preaching. Find somebody else to do it. Well, Stephen was one of the people. He said, yeah, I'll do it. So he goes, and he does it well. And God rewards him. And he does many miracles. He heals people. He does these miraculous things. And people start to take notice. But Stephen starts to talk to the leaders of the Sanhedrin. And he's telling the story of Israel and what they've been through. And then he starts accusing the leaders of killing Jesus. He starts accusing them of being wrong. He's standing up for the gospel. He's standing up for Jesus. He said, you're upholding these laws in this building. This faith isn't in a building. God doesn't reside in a building. And for that, they said he is blaspheming Moses and the law. And they went crazy. They started screaming. They started tearing their clothes apart. And they grabbed Stephen and they drug him out of the city. And they threw him down and they picked up boulders, rocks, and just started hurling them at him. Hitting him in the head, one after another. Now we've been talking about Paul. So this guy, Stephen, is important to the story. He made a decision to stand up to the Sanhedrin, to stand up to the leaders, the guys in charge. He had a choice. He could defend Jesus. He could defend what he knew to be true. Or he could save himself and back down and just go, yeah, you're right. I'll go be quiet. He made a decision. We have people here tonight that made a decision to come to camp, and I want to thank you for your decision. There's also people that make decisions all year long, tough decisions, so this week can happen. Last year we had to make tough decisions and not have camp. But these people make decisions because, for one reason, is they want you here. So that they can help you to possibly make the most important decision of your life. To follow Jesus. Some of you here have made that decision. And those of you that have made that decision, we want to help in any way that we can to help you on that walk. To follow Jesus. To right the wrong. To become stronger and better people. So I want to thank those people that put in all the hard work and made the decision to come. Everyone here, your counselors and directors, all had legitimate excuses to not be here. Whether it be just getting in a horrifying car accident, that's a good enough reason to not come to camp for a week, isn't it? But they chose to. Because they want to help you make decisions to follow Jesus. To be the people like Stephen, who when times get hard, can make the right decision. So So thank you all for being here. This year we're talking about Paul. In Romans chapter 12, which you footsteppers should know well, Paul talks about being kind to people. He said, do not repay evil with evil. He said, love people. And he said, if you do so, it's like doing what? Keep them, what?
Burning coals.
Burning coals on their head. Imagine that, Lydia. Imagine I threw that on your head. What is Paul talking about?
Make them feel guilty.
Make them feel guilty. Why do you think Paul knew what he was talking about?
Yeah.
Think Paul had any experience in that?
No.
Let me share the end of this story with Stephen. So remember, they drug Stephen out. They drug him out of the city and they started hurling those stones at him. And meanwhile, the witnesses, the people that were watching, they took their clothes and they went and they laid them at the feet of a young man named Saul. The guy in charge, the guy that was giving permission to do what they were doing, was a young man named Saul. They went and they laid their clothes at his feet. And while he was being stoned, while he was being killed, as he breathed his last breath, Stephen said, Lord Jesus, receive my spirit. And then he hollered out, Lord, do not hold this sin against them. After he said that, he died. And Saul was there, getting his approval of what had happened. Now, can you imagine being the one that was approving that, and the person that's laying there getting hit in the face over and over and over again with stones that you told them to throw, looked up and said, forgive them. Forgive them. Imagine what that did to Saul. That was like putting coals, burning coals on his head. It had to have made him feel guilty. Had to stir him up. A heart has to be prepared, has to be open to receive the Spirit. I believe that moment. I believe when Stephen said, forgive him, started to change Saul. Started to change Saul. Had that guilt. Then he was on the road to Damascus because the church scattered after that. They started getting more and more believers, started performing more and more miracles, started doing great things. And Saul said, I got to put an end to this. So he went and he got permission. And he took letters to Damascus to go find these Christians, to go find people that were followers of the way, and to take them and throw them into prison. And on the way there, what happened?
Jesus Christ blinded them.
Jesus blinded them. He said, Saul, why are you persecuting me? He said, who are you, Lord? He said, I'm Jesus. And then Saul was taken on into the city, and another nobody was there. Ananias, just a guy. Imagine this man that had been killing Christians, had been doing that, was coming to your city, and God called you up and said, hey, I need you to go and find this guy Saul. And I need you to go pray for him. He's going to carry my message. He's going to be my messenger. What would your reaction be? Nuh-uh. I know what this guy does. He murders Christians. He murders nobodies like me. But Ananias He hesitated. He said, I've heard about him. He's going to kill me. He said, go. When Ananias got there, when he got to Saul, he got there and he said, Saul, brother. Ananias responded with what we call faith. He was scared. He knew what Saul had done, but he had also been told by Jesus. He'd been told to go. This man is going to carry my gospel. This man is going to proclaim the good news. And Ananias trusted him so much that when he walked in, never meeting him before, called him brother. Because he had faith. He already knew Jesus was going to do what he said he was going to do. And then Saul became, wrote most of the New Testament. Went on to do fantastic things. But I'm here to tell you the church would not have Paul if it weren't for Stephen. If it weren't for the man that went and stood up for what was right, that went and said, I'll take care of the widows. The Bible tells us those that can be trusted with a little will be given more. We trusted with greater God. Stephen said, I'll take care of the widows. Stephen said, yeah, it's kind of stupid, but I'll make my bed this morning, even though I don't want to. The little decisions that seem like nothing. Stephen said, I'll do it. Then he started to be able to perform miracles. Then he went before the Sanhedrin. And then he was able to look at people that were stoning him to death and with pure love say, Father, Lord, forgive them. Which prepared Saul's heart to encounter Jesus, to be changed. So back to making decisions. Back to the most important decision I believe anyone can ever make. Billy mentioned Paul Harvey. One of my favorite Paul Harvey stories is about an old farmer. And he was a skeptic. He believed, this Jesus teaching thing, it's good. Good advice. He's a good guy. He didn't really know about this whole I need one guy to save you. You need to believe in one guy, you need to do life the way he said. He was a bit of a skeptic, but one night it was freezing, frigid winter. And he's sitting in his house, got the wood stove going. And all of a sudden he just hears this thumping on the glass window. He looks out, there's a bunch of sparrows just flying into the window. One after another. Kept going, kept turning around. They felt that heat, they saw that light, and it was freezing. They were about to die. They were cold and miserable, and they're trying to get in this house. He felt bad for them, so he goes out, and he opens up the barn door, and turns the light on to let them get in there. He lays out some hay, trying to get these birds to go in. They will not go in the barn. So he goes out, and he gets a rake, and he's running around the yard, dead of winter, freezing, trying to shoo a bunch of sparrows through the yard, get them to go in this barn where it's warm. They will not go in. They're terrified of this big goofy guy with a rake running around the yard after them. They won't go in there hiding. He goes in, he gets saltine crackers, and he makes a trail going to the barn. And they're not coming out. They're scared to death. They're cold. They're about to die. And here's this guy. Big. Scary. The farmer goes back inside. He's torn up over these stupid birds. Sits down and starts to feel bad. And then a revelation hits him. Starts to cry. He was thinking, how can I get these birds in there? And in that thought process, he thought, if I could just become a bird. I could just turn into a bird and go out there. They would trust me, and I could show them to just follow me and go through this stupid door, get in the barn, get warm, and live. They hit him. That's why Jesus. That's why Jesus came. And he made a decision to follow him. See, Jesus came. God loved you so much that he became like you. He was in paradise, eating fried chicken with Moses and Abraham. And he became like you, so that he could come down here and show you the way to live. Make a way for you to be with him, to go into the barn, to find the door. We're cold, we're scared, we're broken. We have to make decisions every day. We get some of them wrong. But the most important decision you can make in your life is to follow Christ. And he's here. He's in. Listen. He's around. He's spreading saltine crackers. He's chasing around with a rake. He looks big, looks scary, looks daunting. He's trying to help you. He wants to, but he's not gonna make you do anything. And just like the farmer is there at the door with it open, wanting the birds to go in, Jesus is there. And he says,
"Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and they with me. To the one who is victorious, I will give the right to sit with me on my throne, just as I was victorious and sat down with my Father on his throne."
Mike talked about it. Jesus came, and he went through the things that you had to go through. He was hungry, he was scared, he was angry. He asked to get out of the things that he had to do, but he went through it. He trusted. And he's at the right hand of God the Father Almighty. And he says, "Here I am. I stand at the door and I knock." If you hear that, if you've had this thing that's just been trying to speak to you this week, you have this feeling you don't know what to do, talk to him. You've heard it every night. Pray. When you have that connection, when you have that relationship, it's going to be there when you need it. When you're pinned under the dash of a truck, you're going to talk to God. When you're out of your wits because you got a bunch of crazy kids and it's raining, and you want to quit raining, and you tried everything you can do, and you sit down, you give up, but you know, talk to God. There he told us about faith, hope, and love. With your faith, you have hope. And that hope is in the good and perfect love of Jesus Christ, that came and died for your sins, so that he can come and live in you. So, yet another decision that can be made. If there's a decision that you want to make tonight, or you feel like you need to make, your counselors, everyone that's here, is here because they want to help you make that decision. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you already have. Maybe you have other decisions in life that you need to make that you're worried about. That's why we're here. That's what we're here for. So pray. Talk to God. Listen to God. And let us know if there's anything we can do. You pray with me? Okay. Gracious God, we thank you for this week. We thank you for this beautiful weather. We thank you for this new experience. We pause now to listen to you. Holy Spirit, come and fill this place.